Great to get a few minutes with former Major League Baseball player Mike Costanzo, local guy. Mike, thanks so much for the time. How you doing today, man?
Fantastic. I appreciate you guys having me.
So, Mike, we have all sorts of questions about baseball, but before we get there, unless I'm wrong, today is the 10th anniversary of your Major League debut.
You couldn't pick a better day, guys. Yes.
So
and it was Mother's Day too.
It was Mother's Day.
Yeah, pink bat and all, got a sacrifice fly, and it's kind of a whirlwind. I got there like the third inning the night before, got on deck, didn't get on. They pulled me out from on deck, and then the next day, my parents flew in, and it was Mother's Day, and they got to see me. And there was like a 3-hour rain delay, so they didn't miss anything.
Well, but before we talk more about that Major League debut and your journey to get there, you mentioned your mom, and I heard a story that when you got drafted by the Phillies, you had a discussion with your mom and brought something special to your press conference with the Phillies. Tell us a little bit about that.
I just told this story yesterday, actually. So draft day, this is like dial-up internet, AOL, sitting in the basement, hearing crackling, and we got a phone call. I think I got drafted at like 11:05 or something, somewhere around there. And then the Phillies called me, and they said, we want you to come down, press conference. How quick can you be there? We're like, we'll be there in 3 minutes because we're diehard Phillies fans, and this is great. So we get down there, press conference. Before we leave the house, everybody's fumbling. I got to look presentable. We had flown in from Arizona on a red eye the night before, and we're shuffling around and everything, and we're getting ready to leave. And my mom's like, "Oh my God, you got to bring this." And she went upstairs and I got brought home when I was born in a Phillies jacket. So I brought it down, got to the press conference. There was like 100 cameras, felt like 1,000. And I said, thanks everybody. I don't know why I felt like I had an opening statement, but I did it anyway. And I said, I wanted to show everybody how big of a Phillies fan I am. I don't think I'm fitting in it anymore. And I showed it, and it was like shotgun of flashes and lights. It was pretty cool. So
I was going to ask if you still fit in the outfit. I would assume no at that point.
I don't even think my foot fits in
it. We talk a lot of players about their minor league journeys. You're somebody who came through the Cape Cod Baseball League. You get drafted by the Phillies, like we're talking about. You end up in Reading in 2007 and are an Eastern League All-Star, hitting 27 home runs and 86 RBIs at third base. What was your Reading experience like for you and the All-Star experience?
That was the best year prior to getting called up in my minor league career. And I joke with everybody now saying, if I only hit like 15 home runs, maybe I wouldn't have been traded and I would have been a Philly and stuff like that. But all jokes aside, it was awesome. I lived at home. My mom worked in Exton, so I would stop there and have lunch before I went to the ball field. And, it was awesome. I slept in my bed every night on home games. It's only 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. So it was awesome. My parents came to every game. It just was really, and they do it different than every other minor league franchise or whatever you call them. It's just it's a different atmosphere. There's 6,000 to 10,000 fans every night. And it's just like baseball, it's old school baseball atmosphere and mentality. And it's what I grew up with watching the Phillies. So,
Mike, even though it was old school baseball, minor league baseball has kind of gone through an evolution, hopefully for the better over the last few years. What have you seen? Now, you were lucky enough to live at home during a season, but you saw some of your teammates. It wasn't easy to get by as a minor league player. But what was your experience in seeing some of your teammates and the struggles to make a decision about whether they could continue to play baseball and pursue their passions?
Well, it's funny. Man. Anytime everybody thinks like professional baseball is glamorous and all that, and for some people it is. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of people that are paycheck to paycheck, and the paychecks are $600 every 2 weeks in minor leagues. Everybody knows that. That's public knowledge now because of lawsuits that people are trying to get the wages lifted up. But it's really, really hard mentally, financially for people that didn't. I was fortunate enough to get a nice signing bonus because I was drafted early, but there's guys that had to stop playing simply because they couldn't afford it. And then you mix in the physical aspect where you see guys that get hurt early and they're done if there's really no investment in them. So it's kind of like I was on both sides because Phillies invested a lot of money. Then I got traded twice. So I had to re-earn, my keep there. So, and then I kind of journeyed around, and when I finally got the shot, it was absolutely worth it, everything, and I would not change it for the world.
When we've talked to players, Jeff and I did a minor league show for a couple of years, and we'd always hear, particularly at Lakewood or now Jersey Shore, the long bus rides that you have, Reading as well.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the camaraderie you had in the minor leagues with some of your teammates. What was that experience like? Not just playing baseball, but learning life with a bunch of guys trying to chase their own dreams too.
Well, that's the best part. Everybody has a common goal. You are good friends with your closest competition because you're taking ground balls with them every day. So it's like a mix of emotions. But that's the one thing I really, really miss is going to the ballpark, hanging out in the clubhouse, messing around, playing cards after while you're icing and heating everything under the sun so you can play the next day. But I really miss it. I don't miss the bus rides for 1 second. I don't miss the the physicality of it. I mean,
were you a cards guy on the bus?
Oh yeah, cards guy, and yeah, I was in the back making noise. So there was a group of us that were the card players and loud music players, and I was part of them. But yeah, that's what I missed before and after the games. But physically, I mean, people don't realize you're playing 142 to 162 games, depending on the level. And 100 back then, it was 175 5 days. And if you take away All-Star break, which is 3 days, it's like you have 10 days off in 5 months. Batting practice, game, post game, workout, family. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was awesome, and I wouldn't change it. But it's a lot more taxing on your body than people think.
Mike, one of the things that the minor leagues is trying to address, and hopefully the major leagues will address shortly thereafter, is my pet peeve, which is the shift, which became prevalent after your time. What would it have been like for you? How would it have changed things for you, especially as an infielder by trade, to field in a shift situation, and what it would be like as a hitter? And what are your opinions on them?
Later in my career, they started doing the shift on me just because I was left-handed, but I can hit the ball opposite field. So I would drop down a bunt every once in a while just to mess with them. I can't stand it. I think it's messing with, they're talking about pace of play and everything. It takes a long time for them to get into position and then get back. And I just think it's taken away from the integrity of baseball, along with like the computerized strike zones and stuff like that. Part of like the greatest moments in baseball and any sport are like referees or umpires, errors or not errors that dictate the outcome of games. Like the perfect game that he was safe on, that he was clearly out, the tuck rule with Tom Brady, stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know. I like the human aspect of it, and don't want a computer telling me if a ball crosses the plate or whatever.
Well, Jeff was already a fan of you, but he definitely likes you more now that you're opposed to the shift. Anybody who's anti-shift, Jeff will get behind.
I don't think that's the way the game's supposed to be played. They should then change the base. The bases are 90 feet for that because they're the 9 positions you play. The mound's 60 feet 6 inches because that was how it was invented by Mr. Doubleday himself. So I just don't like changing things. I'm a creature of habit, along with 99% of baseball players, just because of our schedules. And I don't like it personally. In my opinion, doesn't matter. So
You mentioned habit, and we talk with athletes about habit and routine, and all of a sudden you're a local guy who gets drafted by the team you came home in their outfit from, and the next day you're part of one of those big trades and you're not here anymore. So first I should say thank you, because you helped us win the World Series by landing us Brad Lidge. But at the same,
thank yous for my family and my cousins for that. It's like it was a joke.
I was gonna ask, like, do they give you a hard time, like you helped us win a World Series but like weren't here for it?
I'm 100% Italian, and I have a lot of stone breakers in my family. So
that's
yes,
what I figured.
I still hear it. I mean, I haven't played in a while, and I'm still hearing it. I was at a wedding last week. They were like my second cousin came up and was like, "Hey, it was so cool when you got traded." I was like, "No,
You're like, no, it wasn't. So
what are you talking about?"
You get traded, and you think you're going to be get set up someplace else. You're in Houston for 34 days before you get traded again. What was that like, your 34 days in Houston and getting traded twice from the team you grew up watching now to a second team and now to a third team?
The first one really caught me off guard because I was in Arizona Fall League. I wasn't lighting it up or anything. So I just met with the front office, Pat Gillick, Ruben Morrow, Steve Navarrete, Mike Arbuckle were down there. And the day before, they were like, just keep going. I know it's a long year. I'd played all but one game, I think, in Reading that year. So I was like exhausted. It's 105 degrees in Arizona. And saw them the day before. And then fast forward to the next day, it was like 9 o'clock their time. Yeah, 9 o'clock Arizona time. And Ruben Amaro called and was like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I was traded." I was like, "What?" And I was like, but hopefully it was good. He was like, "You and Michael Bourne got sent to Houston, where Ed Wade is now, and it was for Brad Lidge." I was like, "Oh, okay. So what do I do?" He's like, "Ed will probably call you." Honest to God, within a minute, it was on the bottom line on ESPN. I was like, "Thank God I answered the phone," or I would have found out, like, because there was no social media back there, so there was no like rumblings or MLB trade rumors. You had to log on the URL, and it was different back then. So it was just a blindsiding experience. And then I'm home 34 days later eating a bowl of cereal, and my dad actually called. He's like, "Ed Wade just called me," because I guess he thought I lived at my house where I got drafted at. And he's like, he's going to call you. I think he just got traded to the Orioles. And Ed thought my dad was me. So he told him, obviously. And then Ed chimed in and called. So I was just like, what's going on? And then worked out all off season in Baltimore. But yeah, it's not going to lie. It sucked. I saw myself as the Phillies' third baseman for the future. And at that time they brought up, Ryan, Chase, Jimmy, Carlos Ruiz. Everybody was like homegrown Cole. And I felt like I was the finishing infield piece to say that it was all homegrown. And obviously it's a business, and you find out the hard way. And when you're 22, you don't understand that. But it was mentally exhausting that off season. And after that, I just had a little chip on my shoulder and went into an organization, and that was it.
And you fast forward then to 2012, and all the hard work and all the years of traveling on buses finally pay off. As you say, there was a long rain delay, but you finally get into your first major league game.
Yep.
What's the experience like when they announce your name the first time that you're going up to the plate, and what are the emotions that you go through as you walk up there, and then as the first pitch is thrown to you?
Yeah. So I had a routine when I was on deck and everything, and I knew I was my debut. I knew I was going to hit for the pitcher because he was done, and I was on deck, and I was like, "This is actually happening right now," and it was like another at bat, just with more people and bigger stadiums and third deck and millions of people watching. So I just got into the batter's box and I locked in, and I was fortunate enough, he threw me a fastball and I hit a sac fly to left field. So it was unbelievable experience. And then the following week I got my hit in Yankee Stadium, and that completely different experience. You're knees are shaking and the stadium rumbles. It's just a different ballgame.
So you get your first hit at Yankee Stadium off Ivan Nova, and Derek Jeter brings the ball over for you to save. What is it like for a kid who grew up just wanting to play baseball, came home in his Phillies outfit, to find himself in Yankee Stadium and see Derek Jeter taking a ball across the field for him to save forever?
And it's funny because I played in the World Baseball Classic in '09, and I got in the elevator, and I was on Team Italy. We shared with USA, Canada, and Venezuela. I get on the elevator. It's me, Mike Schmidt, Derek Jeter, Chipper Jones, and Davey Johnson. I'm like, what am I doing? And I've always had like the utmost respect for Derek Jeter, and then for him to even know, like, you watched the video and he knew it was my first hit and just threw it in to A-Rod, and they threw it into the dugout. It was just kind of cool. And I got to second base the next pitch because the guy after me got hit, and I got the second. I said, I appreciate it. He's like, congratulations. And I said, 3,050 more and I'm catching you. He just laughed and walked away. So it was, it's cool. The guy's like the face of baseball now, obviously. And he's just the biggest class act. It was really cool that he acknowledged it.
What a cool experience. You know, you mentioned the mental toll that the trades took on you, and something you and I had talked about was the mental side of sports. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and before we finish up with you, I wanted to talk about the mental side of sports. Talked about some of the challenges you faced as a player, and about how athletes becoming more public about the challenges they face is not only important for them, but can help others too.
Yeah, I'm actually a huge proponent of it, huge advocate. It's playing baseball. There's obviously it's a game of failure, so you have to be cool with being good and failing 7 times out of 10. You have to get up every day, get prepared, physically take care of your body, and all that stuff. Kind of like just like snowballs, and then it's like an eruption, and then people get like, I don't know, panic attacks or anxiety and stuff like that. But I was lucky enough to not have to deal with that because I still do to this day, with my sports psych guy, and it's Joe Dowling. He completely changed my thought process and positivity after getting traded a couple times. And, I give him a lot of credit. It's a lot, your coach, your mental strength coach, but it's a lot like inside of you that you have to realize that you need to do or not do to focus on like making yourself happy, emotionally available, physically ready to go. That's like when you get off a bus after 7 o'clock game, you get there at 10 in the morning, and then you have to go to the ballpark to hit batting practice and get ready to go, and you're judged on it, and you're there in front of a lot of people. That messes with a lot of people, just the thought of it. And then you have to actually do it. So there's multiple levels of it. And like I said about when I got my first at bat, it's like going into your zone. And I'm actually like chapter 7. He wrote a book. It's called Zonefulness. It's unbelievable read. You read it in a day on the beach. It's that good. But they're all little documentaries of different zones and different athletes and their successes and failures and how you can learn off of it. So I still do it. I go see them, talk to them all the time, just to, keep fresh. And everybody has doubt. Something happens at work, something happens at home, your kids, how to manage that, and how to manage people and your relationships. And, I'm sure like baseball players are angry. We fail 7 times out of 10. So there's the anger management aspect, but it's so important. And I think it's undervalued still, and it's still aware. That should be a coach on a team. And what's cool, Joe Dowling's at University of Penn. He's on the basketball bench. He does women's lacrosse for Rutgers and all these other sports, and then does his individual stuff. Helped out the Eagles a couple years ago. So I just think that it's awesome that it's like the awareness, but I think there needs to be another layer of actually doing it. I'm an aggressive doer, so I try to help everybody I can, even people I don't know that I see that are depressed and stuff like that. And it just takes like one conversation to have somebody's mind change kind of more positive and see life in different aspects. So,
Well, we will keep having that conversation with
yeah.
you and with others to raise awareness. And we really appreciate the time you gave us to talk about your journey. What a crazy ride. Thanks so much for the time, Mike. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, both of you. I appreciate it. And thanks for bringing more awareness to that cause. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Jeff, I love when we get to talk to different people and get their perspectives. And while his journey is fantastic, he mentioned the mental strain, getting traded twice, leaving his team, dealing with failure all the time. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we wanted to close on that note. I personally appreciate when athletes are open about this. As a younger person who followed sports and believed that strength meant toughness, and mental health didn't sort of comport with that. The fact that athletes are more open about the challenges that they have, I think, is important for everybody and for themselves, so they don't have to keep it inside. So I appreciated Mike being so open about that with us.
Yeah, I appreciated it too, because athletes go through a lot, different than anybody else, but they seem to have, there's this perception that athletes are these tough individuals who can conquer anything. And they're not superhuman. They have gifts and talents that most of us don't have, including hitting a baseball. But the fact is, it's so important that they're able to be in touch now with their own issues, and also to be able to say it so that young kids and adults alike are looking at them and saying it's okay to discuss this.
It is, and the conversations I find less judgmental now. I find them more informative. People talking about the challenges they go through instead of somebody looking at them and saying, well, why do you go through that? Why do you have that problem? It seems like, and that's the stigma around this, is just getting through that part of it to realize, like you said, athletes are just like everybody else. They have challenges at home. They have challenges in their life. They have challenges in their professional life as they chase their career. They strike out or fail 7 out of 10 times. So the ability,
if they're good at it,
so the ability for people to have short memories, to be able to manage those failures and learn from those mistakes and overcome them in sports or in life is just as important. But I think the fact that athletes are there because they're so prominent in the public eye talking about it, I hope helps other people who are struggling with challenges to start to ask for help and realize it's okay.
I hope so. And I hope that people take advantage of mental health. I'll say it right. Mental Health Awareness Month, but not just this month. It's important to take care of yourself every day.